Hey, welcome. We are live. You're here with a how to review exclusively on the chain. Today, we are going to be getting into a lot of topics. Primarily, what I want to go over, we're going to go a little bit into Flare because today is a big day with the Spark airdrop on XRP. But I want to get into what's been happening from a corporate perspective. We see more and more huge companies getting in, and now a 175-year-old company got involved and is buying into Bitcoin. We're seeing big tech companies buying in to Bitcoin and digital asset. Now we're starting to see the mainstream corporations buying into digital asset. This is major news because as many people have been in this investment space, in the crypto space, for a couple years at least. Now what we're seeing is this migration, this movement of fiat currency and corporations trying to leverage their positions, diversifying their portfolios, putting large amounts of money into the digital asset space. And that's what we want to talk about today. I've got some interesting things here. We're going to go a little bit more into what Flare was up to, Spark, and all that good stuff. There is a ton of things that we want to go over this morning. And as people start bouncing in, that's awesome. Number one in the chat this morning as people are bouncing in is Tony Morissette. So welcome, Tony. Great to have you here with us here on the HODL Review. Man, you're awesome. So we are going to kick this off. I want to get this thing started. Make sure I pull up the right intro here, because everything is going to start right here on the HODL Review, on the chain, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, all that other great blockchain stuff right now. This morning, it's all about the death wish. So if you're here with us here on the HODL Review, make sure you go and grab yourself some espresso, because I don't know any other way you're going to make it through today's show if you don't have some espresso. It's kind of funny. I feel like I'm shrinking down here with this this camera here. Whoops. Hang on a minute. My camera is all sorts of messed up here. Hang on a second. I don't know what just happened. There we go. Whoa. Everything was a little bit off. I felt like I was shrinking. I don't know if my chair was shrinking. I was kind of falling underneath the table. But make sure you guys go out, get yourself some espresso. Today, like I said, is the Death Wish espresso. You guys know I like drinking Segfredo. I like the Death Wish. We've got Coffee Cult. There's all sorts of great coffees that you guys can you can check out. So let's see who we've got in here today with us so far. I see Farshad bounced in here already this morning. Big John's here with us, and we already gave a shout out to Tony. So we're gonna get into a lot in this whole corporate movement. As I was saying right in the beginning, we're starting to see more and more corporate investment into Bitcoin, into the digital asset space. How does this movement from corporate money, diversifying portfolios, is it a control move? Are they seeking to control, dominate the market? What are the banks doing? How are the banks getting involved in the digital asset space, in Bitcoin? How does that impact the exchanges? Something that we talk a lot about on this channel is, whether or not the banks or the exchanges, the digital asset exchanges, will have that first movement advantage. Meaning, do the banks get into cryptocurrency before the exchanges become banks? Because we're starting to see more and more of the cryptocurrency exchanges getting into the space and actually requesting banking licensing. And so that obviously could develop and take some time. We've already seen that happen with Crack, and we know that there's definitely some interesting movement in the digital asset space out in Wyoming. So although over this this period of time, we haven't seen a lot of regulatory clarity, regulation from a national level here in the U.S. We have seen that movement in Wyoming. Why is all of this relevant? Because it is. It's all relevant. And so I've got this fiat leak thing pulled up here over to the side. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm not even sharing it. That's why. If I'm not sharing my screen, you're not going to see anything. It doesn't work that way. There we go. Here's a little bit of movement. Look at that flow. All these digital assets that are flowing into the US right now. This complete mix of digital assets that you're seeing here on the screen. Lots and lots of Bitcoin, mainly because that one's front and center. You're seeing trading movement in Ethereum, in Litecoin, in XRP. It's always, on the fiat leak here, you always see a good movement trend, in a mix of these digital assets. It's always good to take a look and say, hey, you know what's going on in the space? Lots and lots of green scrolling here across the top of the screen. I love starting here. This fiat leak platform is it's really cool. It's amazing, to watch, so it kind of opens up your mind a little bit, and you say, hey, you know what? Am I the only one that's investing in the digital asset space? What exactly is transpiring? What exactly is happening? And then you really see, the movements. You start seeing how many trades are taking place in a 1 minute period of time. I mean, you look here, 2.1 million trades in the past minute. Those are buys and sells. This is all XRP related activity. So obviously it's massive. You see a ton of movement in the XRP space. XRP sitting right now as we speak at 51 cents. So the last time we were on last week, I think we were up around 60, 62, 63. Obviously, the entire space took a little bit of a back step. I believe people were capturing some profits. When things go up, inevitably there's a large group of people that are in the trading, and they're like I said, they're capturing their profit. Now, throughout this period, the one thing that we see is that once XRP specifically kind of reaches its spot, it always seems to stay in a very tight margin, percentage wise. But here, you look, it goes down 5%, up 5%. Whereas, with Bitcoin or Ethereum or the others, you can see gain, and then they fall all the way back down. Here, you see it always hugs a really tight number. Hopefully, as we see this space develop, and that's what we want to talk about today. What is the impact of these big corporate buy-ins? How are these big corporations going to offset and really change the dynamics and the fundamentals of investing in the digital asset space? How does that impact the retail investor? What is the difference between a retail investor and a corporate investor from a mindset perspective? What is the objective of the corporate investor? Obviously, they're bringing millions and millions of dollars and they dump it in. And with those millions, they have little movements. Obviously, they're making a significant amount of money. What is the overall play? So does that displace the retail investor? And it's interesting because I was reading an article that a lot of the big corporates are they always look for that right buy-in moment, buying when the market is at its lower point, not at the lowest, but at a lower point where it's getting ready for liftoff, and where you have a lot of the retail investors that are continuously following the FOMO trend. So they're following the herd. So if everyone's buying, and as things ramp up and gets fired up, then that's when the retail investors go in. When everybody sells back, that's when people start selling off. And so it becomes very, very emotional versus with the corporate investment, they don't have the emotion involved in the transactional part of the process, the buy-in and the sell-off. So I thought that was interesting. Farshad traded some of his VeChain to XRP, and he's super happy. So we see a lot of that also. I don't know, if Farshad, maybe you're one of these guys over here in this in the trade that's happened here in the past minute. So with all of this stuff going on, I'm not 100% sure but I think it's all magic. I really do. I think it's magic. Just like Tony Fisk has said, it is magic. This fiat leak platform, magic, the way it's tracking everything. um, so, all right, let me before we get started here, we got people chatting. Let me take a look here at some of the comments. I saw a question pop up here. Also, formerly gaming crypto XRP. What is up? Good to see you here, Tony. Let's see what we've got here. Whoop, the other Tony. There we go. Do you think there'll be a time the XRP volume on Fiat League currently will be a drop in the bucket in the future? Man, I believe that. I think with everything, as we start seeing this momentum picking up, and that's exactly, what we're starting to see. One thing that we've talked about for the past, I don't know, whenever we started this channel, was really identifying Main Street adoption, mainstream, Main Street, however you want to phrase it. Adoption is going to be the biggest movement. In order to get that biggest movement, I've always talked about, the fundamental use case of the digital assets. So if you have digital assets with no use case, over time, those digital assets are going to go away. And so that's one thing that we've seen, a lot of the bigger players in the space, those guys in the know, talk a lot about maybe 90, 95+% of all the digital assets that are around right now will simply go away. Many of them, as we've reviewed them as well, many of them are solutions looking for problems instead of solutions solving actual existing problems today. So there's always that desire to say, hey, you think there's a problem there, or you think you have this great solution, but when it comes down to it, you look and say, well, it's not really as big of a problem as you thought it was, and your solution is nothing. And you see a lot of these digital assets that are out there just for the play. They think they're going to be the next Bitcoin. They think they're going to make money. If you go back on hey, Barbara Taylor, what is going on? Great to see you. That's awesome. Birthday last Saturday. Happy birthday, belated, 1 week late. Hopefully today is Death Wish Day. So for all those that are just joining, don't know what espresso you're drinking this morning, but today is Death Wish Day. So enjoy. It's a good one. Farshad, thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Man, you're always a huge supporter. Hopefully all is going well in your home state. So, all right. Another let's see here. Oh, here we go. Okay, another one. This one comes in from Periscope over on Twitter. I kind of pawn. Have we talked about how we're getting taxed on the airdrop? So the one thing, definitely talk to your CPA, definitely talk to your accountant. Airdrops are taxable events from everything that I've read. So you definitely want to make sure. Now, the question is, if an airdrop comes in that drops with no value, how do you get taxed on that? However, I believe if they're going to launch and Flare is going to start dropping and airdropping these Spark tokens, now that's a great point. So anybody that is putting their XRP on the right exchange, Kraken just joined. I think it was announced yesterday that they were going to also offer up the airdrop. Coinbase is into the airdrop. Uphold is in the airdrop. Celsius is in the airdrop. BitTrue is in the airdrop. There's a whole host of exchanges out there that are participating in the airdrop today. Today is the 12th. December 12th was the date that the snapshot is being taken by Flare to determine who has XRP sitting in a wallet in a participating environment. Your ledger also could have been a participant in this snapshot. I don't know when the snapshot's happening. I don't know if the snapshot, they're taking it all day today. If you haven't moved it in now, I don't know if it's too late, not too late. Now, what we do know, and this is what Mike's Crypto is bringing up, which is interesting, we won't get our drop until 2021, which is 100% accurate. So you don't have to worry about anything taxable for 2020. mainly because you are not going to be getting an airdrop of the Spark token until Q1 and maybe even Q2 of 2021. Then you're only getting 15% of the total. So if you have 1,000 XRP sitting on a wallet, you are going to get 1 for 1. But since they're only giving you 15% on the initial airdrop, you're going to get a total of 150 Spark tokens for every 1,000. So if you have 1,000 XRP sitting there, you're going to get 150. Then after that, they are going to do a distribution that is going to take a minimum of 25 months up to 34 months in total distribution for the rest of your airdrop. Again, I talked about this when we reviewed it before. I don't understand the idea behind delaying an airdrop for 2 years for people. Either you're doing a full airdrop or you're not doing the airdrop. I don't understand why they're going to airdrop 15% and then 2 years, 3 years in, they're going to then airdrop the rest. I don't know. It really doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Mike Crypto, if your cold wallet got an airdrop and no one hears it, did we get the airdrop? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't even know. How do we even know when if the airdrops are going to take place? You know, you got to wait. Is it going to happen? I don't know. Like R Star is saying, there's got to be a reason. I've looked everywhere for a reason, and I haven't read it. 100% though. Like R Star is saying, there has to be a reason. They didn't just fictitiously say, hey, we're going to do 15%. And then someone had brought up it's like 0.4% per month for the total period of time until it all accumulates. I even looked for that information. I couldn't find it. All I know is that it's 15%. And then the total extended distribution of the airdrop will be out there. Farshad's talking about because they want the price to rise. And that could be as well. Maybe they thought, hey, we want to give everyone this airdrop. We have a lot of big XRP holders out there. This is the first airdrop on XRP, I think, ever. I don't think there's ever been another airdrop like this. So, and this is free digital asset. Like Farshad saying, there's a good chance they want to see it grow. They don't want to see big sell-offs. So if it drops and people just start dumping in the market, but I don't know. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. They just got to roll with it. Either people are going to hold it or not. But the thing is, if you put it in the market and you give it to everyone, people are going to buy and sell it. So if you decide, hey, I'm going to dump it all, there's going to be a receiver on the other end. And, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So let's see here. R says they have a good group on Telegram. I'll get the link to Flare on Telegram. Great. That's awesome. I'm pulling it up on their website. Nothing on their website. So I pulled this up over here. It's interesting because as much as I've dug into it and I look at their website, this, the Flare Networks, Unlocking Value. So they introduced November 4th was really the last time they've posted anything on their blog, which I also don't understand. So we're looking at over a month since anything has been posted. And here was welcome to our first blog post. Flare has been over 2 years in the making. We're delighted to have made it this far. Now, Flare is it's really an amazing project. What they're doing, and when you read into it, and we dug in and tried to truly understand all the fundamentals of it. But overall, when we talk about projects and we talk about the digital assets connected to specific projects with real use cases, projects that are actually solving something. So Flare building a smart contract platform that's interoperable with Ethereum smart contracts. So, when you talk about the XRP ledger, which it's built on, so it's a smart contract solution built on the XRP ledger, taking advantage of all of the positives of the XRP ledger, which are many. There's obviously a lot of amazing things with the XRP ledger. Now, right now, if you're moving and you think about smart contracts, everybody immediately thinks Ethereum. What they're going to be able to accomplish is not just create a smart contract that runs parallel with Ethereum to try to compete with it, but their objective is to then interoperate or be interoperable with the Ethereum smart contract. So imagine your institution works with Flare. Their institution works with an Ethereum smart contract, and you want a consistent message, crossing and allowing all the smart contracts to operate. Now you could say, well, my bank now has to work with your bank and they have to switch. No, my institution will continue, or my whatever it is that, that I built this smart contract for the negotiation, whatever it is, I'm thinking business transaction. We're working within our Flare smart contract. You have yours. They communicate, they work together, and that's amazing. So to me, that's kind of a game changer. They're moving things in a very, very positive direction, which is amazing, because as this develops, now think they've been 2 years in the making, putting this all together, and then they come out and say, you know what, we want the XRP community to actually see the value of the solution that we're putting together, airdrop, and they come up with the airdrop of the Spark. I think it's a great way from a marketing perspective to get the name out there as fast as possible and ramp it up as fast as possible, especially since it is competing somewhat with Ethereum. And Ethereum, we're starting to see more and more adoption into the general market. So we're starting to see more corporation involvement or interest in developing and building on the Ethereum platform, which is exactly what we're going to start seeing with Flare. You're going to see more and more interest in building on it when it's fully launched and fully out there. But it's really, to me, it's great. I think, oh, look at this. So this was November of 2019. That's when this was first posted here. Oh, I missed. I don't know. I missed that. That wasn't this past November, not last month. Yeah, this is a year ago, and really, that's it. They get into their stable token. You can go through the white paper. We've done that before. But I like this. I like a lot of the things that they're working on. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Token ownership does not confer power over the network. Safety does not rely on unscalable economic initiatives. Flare will have a single base unit of account that's algorithmically stable in value, generated in part by burning XRP. So imagine that. The network adopts the XRP encryption and address schemes so that both XRP and Flare can be used with a single key, providing a virtually seamless experience for XRP users. Flare integrates the Ethereum virtual machine, has fair ordering, flexible trust, and fast finality. It's really cool. I like this part here. So Flare should be useful for businesses and entrepreneurs because it has stable pricing in a token that has low volatility. Its safety doesn't break down if your business grows large, if your security token represents billions of dollars of value, or if the ramifications of failure of your systems are unquantifiable. Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, think about the ideas, the groups that can use it, Securitize, Singularity, Buenobit. There's when you first start out, they obviously want to get that initiative. They want to get that first ramp up. But overall, I mean, if you guys, we've talked about this before. We made a full video on this. If you want to go check it out, go to this website, flare.ghost.io. You can read more in depth into it and say, hey, I've moved my XRP. I'm going to get a spark drop. What exactly does it mean? What am I getting with all that? And obviously, as we've been talking, we see XRP movement trending in the right direction. All right, who do we got here? We've got Crypto Farang coming all the way in from Thailand. That's awesome. I kind of pawn over here. It said, I wish it was free. We're taxed on this even before the sale, from what I've seen. Exactly. So when you look at that from the tax implication of an airdrop is that it's like income, because you're immediately getting something at no cost. So it's not like you spent money to buy something and then it went up in value, and in order for you to get taxed on that realized gain or loss, if the other way. But if you're going to get taxed on a realized gain, you have to sell or transact that digital currency. So, but that it's definitely something that, you know, we need to really understand and identify, but you don't have to worry about it until 2021. So don't worry. That part, great Pate. I don't know that it is an ERC20 token. It's built on the XRP ledger, but that's a good question. If anybody knows that answer, is it or isn't it? I don't know. That's a good question. It's built on the XRP ledger, so I don't know that it is an ERC20 token. But overall, Flare is a smart contract solution. So I like what Farshad said. Trust me, they know what they're doing. Yeah, exactly. So let me see here. Ray Nooner said a few days ago that Flare Networks was not going to be compatible to the XRP ledger, which was a big lie. Are we to expect more FUDs? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy. So if it's built with XRP and the XRP ledger, how could it not be compatible with the XRP ledger, considering that it was built on the XRP ledger? So so yeah, so if it could be, then I mean, maybe you guys know more in depth, more detail. If it's an ERC20 token, not. If you need an ETH wallet to hold it, that's all good stuff. So, all right, let me bounce into something that I wanted to get into, and this is really focused on the overall development of the space. You know, as this space is growing, you know, one of the things that we've pointed out, one of the things we've looked at, I brought this up in the beginning, is the Main Street adoption, Main Street movement, whether it's from the retail investor or if it's from the financial institution. My cup ran dry, and fortunately, I had some coffee sitting in this cup, and now we're good. So yeah, so corporate. Oh, look at this. This is a great question. And then let me just pull this up. Welcome somebody new here, and then we'll dig in a little bit further. But David, any advice on what to invest in right now? I'm pretty new to all this and trying to learn everything bit by bit. Well, first of all, David, welcome down the chain. Welcome to the early show, the HODL review. Great to see you here. Great to have you here. There's a ton to learn. And as you go in, and I'm sure people in the comments will give you a lot of good feedback of, you know, some of the first things to invest in. The number one, do exactly what you're doing. Do your own research. Find a compatible platform to where you can actually buy the digital asset. If you're here in the US, then you have multiple solutions to choose from. You can go to Coinbase, to Uphold, to Kraken, to Gemini. You can check out BitTrue, Binance US. There's a whole host of exchanges to buy on. You'll find, you know, there's obviously a lot of trend, a lot of emotion. Take a look, you know, and then try it out. You know, try to invest and kind of find your path. Obviously, when you look at the top digital assets in the space that have been the top digital assets in the space for a while, you have your primaries: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and then there's a whole host of others that have movement and potential upward potential in the space. Now, you're not going to be able to get digital assets, the same digital assets on every single platform. But if you go to Coinbase, take a look at all the ones they have there. Go to Uphold, figure out which one you feel, you know, comfortable trading on, and then you can start looking into, you know, some of the digital assets. Now, think about this, you know, from a longer term investment perspective versus a trading perspective. So obviously you can trade. Many people do. Many people, I like how Ivan on Tech always says that, you know, people will get wrecked if they don't really understand what they're looking at, and looking at, you know, the actual space in general. Understanding from a trading perspective, very, very dangerous, in my opinion, in a speculative environment. Although we're starting to see more and more movement into this space, it's still speculative. Nobody knows what the outcome is. Bitcoin, obviously, with Bitcoin, it is a very good store of value. Ethereum is a platform smart contract platform. People are building and utilizing the smart contract solution, and it's digital token interwoven into the smart contract. XRP is a solution that has really transformed the digital asset space, in my opinion. When it first came out, very, very unique. Built on the XRP ledger. The XRP ledger creates interoperability of transactions seamlessly, low cost, rapid movement. So a lot of the people in here that we have in the chat, they know all this stuff. So if you want to give any feedback to David, that would be great. But David, keep checking back in with our videos. If you haven't done it yet, hit the subscribe button. Anybody else that's in here that's new, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. When you do hit the subscribe button, though, you have to hit that little bell notifier. Otherwise, you don't get notified when we go live. And sometimes I notice we go live, we can have 100 people in here, we can have 40 people in here. All really depends on what's going on. So all right, so let's dig into this. This is where it starts getting exciting. Appreciate that, Tony. Appreciate that. So this is where it starts getting exciting. Again, Main Street adoption into the digital asset space. What do we see? What are some of the big movements in the space that are really identifying that the digital asset space is not just here, for the long term, but that as we start seeing these big corporations get into it, you're going to see the digital asset space move price-wise, the price increase exponentially due to the massive volume that will be moving into digital assets. Now, obviously, number one, when we look at this, we can look and say, okay, JP Morgan. And I think this is interesting because JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, one of the biggest opponents not proponents, but opponents of Bitcoin, very outspoken against Bitcoin, critiqued his daughter for buying a Bitcoin. But if you look at this, JP Morgan targeting digital currency payments for e-commerce platforms. Now, they understand, JP Morgan as a whole understands that there's a entire business that will now be built around the digital asset space. I mean, it's amazing, right? So here you have JP Morgan again, Jamie Dimon, who just 2 years ago was very antagonistic to the digital asset space, and then very shortly after they decided they were going to launch their JPM coin. And now we're starting to see also they just fulfilled this movement into the blockchain space. A lot's rolling out with JP Morgan. But look at this. JP Morgan wants to provide payments and digital currency services to the largest e-commerce platforms in the world. So JP Morgan hasn't been sitting back and doing nothing all this time. JP Morgan has been building and developing in this space. And not only building and developing in this space, as we see in the article, but they're building and developing in this space to become a leader in the space, to really try to dominate in the e-commerce, from an e-commerce perspective, understanding, the fundamental dynamic of the transition from fiat currency over to digital currency. As a bank, as a major international bank, they know what's happening. They've known all along what's happening, so now, as we look through this, and we've talked a little bit about Circle before, but then, if you look at Circle, here, hundreds, this is coming from the CEO of Circle, hundreds of millions of consumers will use digital currency soon. Why are these CEOs talking about this? Why is Circle so heavily involved right now in the digital asset space, getting cryptocurrency onboarded into their platform, and their investment in whether it's Bitcoin or other digital asset, other digital currency? Why are they going all in this, right? So here we have in this meeting where he made these big statements, you have executives from Facebook's Diem Association. Diem is the rebranded Libra. So Facebook assumes if they rebrand, they're going to be more accepted. Facebook never gave up. Facebook was dragged in front of Senate, multiple times. They brought Zuckerberg in. Then they brought in a representative from Libra, and they sat there and they bashed them and they bashed them and they bashed them. Facebook took a step back, but they kept pushing forward with their objective in their stablecoin solution and the network that they're building in the payment space. So you have Circle building in the payment space, JP Morgan building in the payment space, Facebook building in the payment space. We're seeing a trend into the digital currency, and this has gone back a number of years. So this isn't reactionary to the flu that we've all seen and the implosion of economies around the world over the past 6, 7, 8 months. But what we're seeing is a strategic buildup over the past couple of years of a movement out of fiat currency into digital currencies. The race, the real war on money that is starting right now, the real war on money is between big banks that have controlled the monetary flow around the world for eons and big tech that's trying to step into the space. Now, we've seen, and we talked about it last week, we talked about it this past Wednesday night, Rashida Tlaib and a couple other congresswomen putting a bill in front of Congress, or at least proposing a bill that's going to create a stable act that will put all stable coin control in the hands of banks. Now, what they're doing essentially is taking big tech out of the equation. They're saying that your technology, nope, you're not allowed to control your own release of stable coins. Only banks will do it. So what they're doing is stepping in and interfering with the development of this space, and they're deciding who will then be able to make money or transact in this payment space, which will not only be detrimental to the development of the space, but it'll be detrimental to the United States and any companies in the U.S. that are participating in the space. So even if the U.S. passes some sort of a stable act, all that's going to do is chase these companies, these big corporations, out of the United States to other countries. So we already saw that happening with Ripple. Ripple basically stood up. Ripple, David, for your perspective, Ripple is the organization that is competing against Swift in the remittance payment space, creating seamless, low-cost, fast international payment, cross-border payment transaction. But even Ripple came and said to it basically was announcing to the world, but mostly to government here, hey, you guys have not created an environment that's friendly to our business and others like us due to the lack of regulatory clarity. We are therefore going to start looking for other countries to establish our headquarters, our corporate office. Not to say that they would stop working in the US, but that they're going to move their corporate headquarters elsewhere to fall under the regulation of other countries that are more cryptocurrency friendly. Now they've kind of pulled back a little bit. We've seen some other language on the table. We see Brian Brooks, who is moving forward. He made a statement last week that within 4 to 8 weeks, we are going to see some sort of regulatory clarity presented in front of Congress, regulatory clarity for the digital asset space. If Brian Brooks is involved, it'll be pro. If you let some of these other if you let politicians like Rashida Tlaib and others guide the narrative, it's going to be very negative. It's going to chase these companies out of the United States. Now, one of the things that we understand is that from a digital asset perspective, from a blockchain perspective, from a cryptocurrency perspective, this is international in scope. This isn't a domestic growth, a domestically generated, developed, whatever solution. This is the first new asset class in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So where the United States for many years was a leader in big tech, a leader in the internet revolution, and a leader in the big tech revolution. The blockchain space is being presented differently. The U.S. has an opportunity and many companies in the US have had an opportunity to be leaders in this space. However, due to the lack of regulatory clarity, it has opened the door wide to many other countries to take a lead in the development of this space. Now, for good or for worse, for good, because this is an international endeavor. Bitcoin doesn't belong to the US. Bitcoin is global, and it has that global recognition and identification from people all over the world, initially as a P2P solution, meaning, taking the banking out of the equation. That was the initial intent of the Bitcoin. Now obviously more of a store of value, but it's in the hands of the people. And that was go back to the core intent, regardless if, banks, corporations, or others or governments start investing in Bitcoin or any other digital asset. The core intent is that the digital asset space empowers, emboldens the people, because again, it allows for the seamless transaction of money to flow from person to person without an intermediary controlling the direction of how you do it. Meaning that you have, the full capability right now as we stand to hold your own wallet, to self-store your own digital asset. Now, in that Stable Act that Rashida Tlaib was presenting would also have an impact on how people self-store their digital asset, and could potentially jeopardize individuals from being able to do that. Individuals, being able to manage their own digital assets using security like a ledger, for instance. Or being able to hold it on the exchange of their choice, or being able to use MetaMask or a whole host of other wallets that give you that your own control of your digital asset. Now, for Main Street, one thing I've always said is the majority of the people in this world, so what do we have? Maybe 1 to 3% of the world that are involved in digital assets. It's probably less than that. Now, in order to get that other, let's say 99% of the people on board, the majority of people need their hand held on a regular basis, whether it's to help guide them through their life, or even from an investment perspective. People feel more comfortable when their hand is being held. If I put my money in a bank, I feel more comfortable with it there. I don't feel comfortable with my own person self-regulating it or holding it, mainly because if something happens, you always know that you can go to the bank, and the bank is going to do their due diligence to correct the issue, to correct the error. That is the intent. Now, if you go to countries like Lebanon, Cyprus in its heyday, Venezuela today, the people on the street, even parts of Africa, people on the street are going to tell you a completely different story. It's a different narrative. What happened in Lebanon a couple months ago? There was a run on the banks, and the banks decide they're going to shut down, and now you have no access to your money. So people look at that and they say, wow, if the banks can make a decision to shut down and I can't gain access to my money, I better be able to self-store my money. People in Venezuela, where you have millions of percent inflation on a currency, look at Bitcoin as the best store of value. Peer-to-peer, P2P, be able to move your digital asset, transact between individuals. So now we kind of, set the stage. Again, going to the corporation. So Circle, hundreds of millions of consumers are going to use digital currencies. Why are they going to use digital currencies? That's a good question to ask. So hundreds of millions. Now there's 2, 3, there's, a whole host of, companies right now as we speak that wants your digital asset. They want you to spend your digital currency. Now, obviously, if you invested in Bitcoin in its heyday, if you bought XRP when it was 0.006 cents, you've obviously made a huge gain. But the idea that these entities want you to spend your digital assets now, giving you credit cards, allowing you to transact and spend your digital asset for the main street. They're trying to simplify and take your investment out of your hands and get you to utilize that digital asset and give it to them instead. So they understand the accumulation nature of what's necessary for them to get these digital assets for relatively little exposure. The transaction's going to happen anyways. They want this movement to flow overall over a period of time. You know, we're going to be in an environment where digital currencies will be the norm as they pull the fiat currencies out of the market. And we're seeing that trend over in Asia. We see a trend in the United States. A lot of people live by credit cards. You don't see a lot of cash transaction. So we're used to that kind of ebb and flow of currency. However, Circle, hundreds of millions of consumers will be using digital currency soon. So the CEO of Circle isn't on his own. Because what else do we see? We see something else over here. Let me pull this up. Oh, I'm not in my share mode. PayPal talking about ushering in a cashless society. Cashless society means that you lose all control over your money. We live in a cashless environment. However, a cashless environment that is backed up by your potential capability of holding cash in your account. There's a lot of digital numbers moving around. You can always have physical cash. I can go and pay in physical cash. So as they move, and PayPal is instrumental in, for a couple of years, everyone said, where is PayPal in the cryptocurrency space? Well, PayPal announced that they're in the cryptocurrency space. PayPal is allowing the buying and selling of cryptocurrency. PayPal will eventually be custodying your cryptocurrency. They understand the trend. They understand the nature of what is happening in the payment space, not just Circle. Circle talking about millions of people will be using crypto. PayPal, Circle, Square, Visa, MasterCard. All of the big names are involved in the movement towards a digital cashless society and pushing you to use your digital asset to spend instead of holding. Now, if you look at, Circle has the USDC, the stable coin, pegged 1-for-1 to the US dollar. That's okay. You want to have your money in a stable coin. Are they going to transact it? Are they simplifying the process, similar to what Ripple is doing to simplify the remittance payments, the cross-border payments, bringing down the transaction time, transaction cost, adding transparency to the mix? They all want the same thing. This whole idea of touchless technology to respond to this flu scenario is all nonsense, because none of this was developed over the past 6 months. These are things that have been in the works for years. So if we look at PayPal, how PayPal is helping usher in a cashless society. Now, this is really interesting because if you look at this, PayPal Holding reported stellar earning results through 2020. Their mobile payment adoption soared during this recent issue. Their third quarter total payment volume revenue, their revenue grew 36% and 25% respectively. For total payment volume up 36%, total revenue up 25%. So, it's crazy. Even though more people are using mobile payments, the US still lags behind China and other countries, China in particular. Obviously, we know, what they're doing. They're working on their digital yuan, their digital renminbi, all these other things. But this isn't based on the cryptocurrency This is based on just digital payment, digital checkout. Get rid of your cash so you no longer have that independence of your cash environment. Now, what's interesting is that CVS became the first national retailer to integrate PayPal, Venmo, and the Venmo QR code technology. So you can now use Venmo at every CVS. You can now use PayPal at every CVS. They're simplifying the process. You can now scan your the QR code to pay right from your Venmo account. So it's right around the corner. Things are going to happen very quickly. So this is PayPal, but I thought it was important to bring this up because they're talking about the cashless society. They're talking about what PayPal is going to be doing, orchestrating. PayPal's not talking right now about spending cryptocurrency. However, they've already put their foot in the game. They're in the game now. They want people's digital assets. All right, Farshad, man, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Go enjoy the weekend. So, so there's a lot, going on, and it keeps increasing. We're starting to see more and more and more. So check this out. So where is the war on currency is taking place right now, but we're starting to see these big companies investing. We're starting to see the lines blur between the digital asset exchange and banks. So, hang on, before I get there, let me just look this up here. Morton, more institutions are busy crunching end of year numbers. Crypto investments will have to wait until Q1 of next year. This is when the real push might come. We're starting to see some big names investing now in Q4. And like Morton says, we're going to see even more investments coming in Q1. I'm convinced of it. As more get into it, the whole market shifts. It changes. We're in a different market, and we're going to go through. There was some interesting feedback from the Winklevoss twins specifically to this perspective. And we know the Winklevoss twins behind Gemini, their investment in Bitcoin, they made what, $1 billion in Bitcoin, a couple years ago through their investments. So let's take a look at this. Crypto startup BitPay files to become a federally regulated U.S. bank. Why? Why do they want to be a bank? They see the writing on the wall as well that if you're a bank, you can make a huge impact in the space. If the regulatory clarity, they say that only banks can hold the stable coins. Well, you know what? This crypto asset exchange is going to be a bank. They're prepping themselves. They're getting ready. So can it be? Will they allow it to happen? If they don't allow it to happen, if they don't get accepted, what are the other options? The other options are for some of these digital asset exchanges to start buying banks. They basically buy in. We're seeing that momentum. We saw Kraken get their banking license. First digital asset exchange. We don't see many banks that are developing their own cryptocurrency exchanges yet, although we saw some regulation that allows banks to custody crypto and more, and hold the stable coins, et cetera, et cetera. But from a banking perspective, now, all right, hang on. Where's my mouse? There it is. All right. So big names, right? So we have to look at big names. Nobody knows BitPay for anybody. Who knows Fidelity? Everybody has heard the name Fidelity, right? So what is Fidelity doing? What does Celsius do? What does Nexo do? They allow you to take your digital asset, hold it as collateral for a cash loan. So you can stake 2 to 1. You put your 2 Bitcoins, you get a loan of 1 Bitcoin on a Celsius platform or a Nexo platform or some of the other platforms out there. Now, Here you go, a name that everybody knows, Fidelity, doing the exact same thing. They are now going to accept Bitcoin as collateral for cash loans. They're working with BlockFi to do it. This is a huge, huge trend in the space. This is a massive movement when you get a name like a Fidelity that is now going to allow Bitcoin to be held as a collateral for a bank loan. Now, says here, his company will risk manage the famous volatility of Bitcoin by offering cash worth 60% of a loan backed by the digital asset. I don't know, it doesn't say if they're going to get into a margin type environment the way it's done on Nexo or Celsius or Bitrue or many of the others, where you're actually in a margin scenario when you're borrowing against your digital asset. And if you don't top up your margin, you have a chance of losing your digital asset. So something that, everyone needs to be aware of if you get into that environment. Let me go here. Hang on. Oh, look at this. All right. Even Raoul Paul says he does not see traditional banks existing in the near future. That's massive. I don't know if you guys remember, we had Alex Mashinsky on here. And the one thing that he said, after we come out of this crisis scenario, the leaders of tomorrow will be all new faces. The leaders of yesterday in the banking space might go away. To that point, what Morton's talking about, what Raoul Paul's saying, traditional banks are going the way of the dinosaur. We don't need all of the mechanism, all the components. Are a lot of people going to lose their jobs? Yes, in the banking space. Why? Because they're redundant. The redundancy of the paper pushers. Think about the Ethereum contracts. Think about the Flare smart contracts that we talked about in the beginning. You have the smart contracts. You no longer need all the paper pushers in the middle. You still need a third party. The bank is still going to be in the equation. The digital asset exchange will be in the equation. There'll be a blurring of the lines, but the way the traditional banks operate is going away. And we see it happening fast. They're not going to be needed. If you move into a digital environment based on and backed by blockchain technology that creates instant auditable scenarios, then anybody that's auditing a process because you're looking for that human error to occur, a lot of that goes away. A lot of the fraud. Think about it, whether it's banking, business, supply chain, or voting. Imagine voting, giving instant results and instantly scanning and screening the validity of every single vote that comes through. One person, one vote, done through your fingerprint scan, retina scan, however it might be. Once you register to vote and you put your thumbprint or your retina scan on file on the blockchain, when you vote, no matter where you vote from, your mobile phone, you scan it, you do a retina scan, one person, one vote. That's it. Can't be changed, can't be adjusted. The blockchain tech behind all of this is the fundamental change. So we're not just getting rid of the traditional banking. We're going to see a change fundamentally in the way things function around the world. The supply chain logistics is really one of the first that is getting into the initiative of the blockchain. The other is, tracking luxury goods, the authenticity of coffee, the authenticity of gemstones, the authenticity of coal, oil, whatever it might be. Tracking it from its original origin all the way through the final end product and the delivery to the end consumer. The logistics of it on the blockchain is amazing, right? So all of these companies, all of these banks, corporations, they all have identified and realized and recognized the direction that we're moving in when it comes to Bitcoin, when it comes to any of these others. Hang on a second. There we go. All right. Got to get rid of that. Here we go. All right. Hang on a second. Block that. Okay. This was banking and finance. Now, I'm going to go through, we're going to fly through right now, just fly through a few of these things here. I think this is going to be critical. We're at the hour, but we can spend a little more time together. So we're going to fly through some of this stuff. DBS. So look at this. DBS launches a digital exchange, crypto trading to start in 1 week. Now, the platform will facilitate trading between 4 fiat currencies: the Singapore dollar, the US dollar, the Hong Kong dollar, and the Japanese yen, 4 established cryptos: Bitcoin, Ether, Bitcoin Cash, and XRP. It's a members only exchange. You can have institutional and accredited investors only. What does that tell you guys? A members only exchange for institutional and accredited investors to trade between 4 fiat currencies and 4 cryptocurrencies. This is the movement bringing in more and more and more of the institutional investors, of the professional traders, the professional investors, the millions and millions and millions of dollars that's going to flow into this space. Now, what does this exchange tap into? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and XRP, and that's it. Think about that. Think about the significance of what that means for this exchange that's going to be coming online. Now, as we move through this, there's going to be a few more big names. Now, we talked about MicroStrategy. You guys remember MicroStrategy? The CEO of MicroStrategy bought $425 million worth of Bitcoin back in August and September for a total amount, let's say average around $10,000. He's made $8,400 per Bitcoin at this point. He's made a ton of money, a ton of money. Last week or a week and a half ago, he announced he was buying another $50 million when it was at 19,000. He's taken it a step further. Talk about belief in the system, in Bitcoin, in digital asset, and everything else. They're planning on doing a $400 million raise that the net proceeds will go to buy more Bitcoin, not to invest in more technology. Where does he think Bitcoin is going at $18,000? Does he think that he can double that money? Hey, they want to raise 400 million. Here you go. Here's $1 million. Here's 2 million. You know, he's raising $400 million to invest in nothing but Bitcoin. Does he see the writing on the wall? I mean, it's crazy, right? So he's already made a ton of money. He's already doubled that original investment, almost doubled. Said it plans to sell up to $400 million in a convertible senior note offering that will likely fund yet more Bitcoin allocations, because for his investors, he can return a huge return. There's the SEC filing. That's massive. That's massive. So let's look at this one. Here's another big name in the space. Let's see if I can share this without any problems. What happens when the Wall Street Journal starts talking about cryptocurrency? This is one of the biggest names in the financial space, the Wall Street Journal, talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Not just talking about it, but Mass Mutual, which has been around for what, 175 years. It's an insurance company. I believe it's 100. Look at this. How much did they buy? $100 million worth of Bitcoin for its general investment account. $100 million worth of Bitcoin at probably 18,000, 19,000. Look at that. Oh no, that just says that's the peak. I don't know what they paid for it, but look at this. Their general investment account is $235 billion. They're taking a fraction of it. That 100 million is is just like pocket change. But so what? They take $100 million that they're investing into Bitcoin. Here's a company, here we go, founded in 1851. They said the Bitcoin investment was based on a broad strategy to take advantage of new opportunities while remaining diversified, giving us measured yet meaningful exposure to a growing economic aspect of our increasingly digital world. Do you think these guys know something? Are they sitting on the sidelines? Are they FOMOing in to the Bitcoin space? Or did they make a smart business decision based on what they see the trend is with these other big corporations, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, what have you? It's amazing. I mean, it's really, really, unbelievable. I like what Stephen Kurt said over here. That's not it. I'm trying to find it. No, that's not it. Where was it? Here we go. If you have your XRP in a trust, in an iTrust Capital Roth IRA, you'll not be taxed on it. If you put your digital asset investments into an IRA, it's a good point. Spark doled out over the past 3 years, but I think that it was that IRA comment that kind of caught my eye. And there you said it again. If you had your XRP in trust, you'll not be taxed on the Spark tokens. If those Spark tokens also end up in your IRA, if that's possible, if they're also doing that, I don't know, Stephen. I don't know if they are or they aren't. I've seen you've said it multiple times over here, but maybe there's a link to that Roth IRA and we can go check it out. I don't know. Tony, Stephen, for someone who already holds digital assets, how do you roll them over to the IRA without having to cash out? Interesting. Yep. Something to look into. Definitely something to look into. All right. So again, so here we have, we have MicroStrategy, $400 million raised to buy more digital assets. They buy in $875 million that they're going to have invested into Bitcoin if they do that 400 million raise. Mass Mutual, 100 million. Now, before we get to the Winklevoss twins, we can kind of use that kind of as the cap to everything, why they think everything's different. But check this bank out in Spain. I believe this is in Spain. BBVA confirms launch of digital asset trading in January, next month. Yesterday, Spanish banking group BBVA confirmed it's begun to launch trials for crypto trading and custody through BBVA Switzerland. It's their Swiss subsidiary offering international private banking services, which means the service will target accredited investors. Again, accredited investors. How amazing is that? Accredited investors. Again, big money. So if they're targeting the accredited investors haven't even moved into this space yet. So if they haven't moved into this space yet, or they're moving in, now you're seeing platforms developed specifically for the accredited investors, specifically for the financial institutions to move their money into the space. This is big news. Why? Because they're not buying on the other exchanges. Coinbase Pro could be opened up to the bigger institutions, to the accredited investor. They want to invest in their own environment. They don't invest on the same platforms with retail and buyers. They want their own platform. But again, this is in Switzerland. This is a Swiss bank focused on getting clients. And they're not talking about just Bitcoin. They're talking about a cryptocurrency trading platform, for accredited investors. The trend is moving rapidly in this direction. Now we see here, what other investments? 6. Japan's SBI announced a joint venture. 6, I believe, is in Switzerland. There they have a joint venture in Singapore. You have Standard Chartered and Northern Trust confirmed a UK joint venture for crypto custody, Zodia. And we talked about DBS earlier. launched its DBS digital exchange for token issuance, cryptocurrency trading, and custody. And then the SGX stock market is an investor in the digital exchange. So we're seeing more and more and more movement into this direction by these big corporations. And then to kind of culminate and to, top it all off is the Winklevoss twins. Now, the Winklevoss twins made a ton of money in Bitcoin. So I think some of the key point takeaways, and again, look, this is on CNBC. So we just saw a Wall Street Journal article about Mass Mutual. Now we're on to CNBC. Then you see stuff in Bloomberg. You see stuff on Investment Business Daily. You see all this news coming out in the Main Street media, mainstream financial media platforms. Just like we saw at the end of 2017, the FOMO craze, when all the news sites started talking about digital assets and the ramp up, and they said, how do you buy? What's going on? All that stuff. But here, check this out. So you have why the Winklevoss twins think Bitcoin's rally is different this time. Why is it different? And what are they talking about? Different than when? Different than the end of 2017, beginning of 18, when Bitcoin hit 20,000 for the first time ever. XRP hit $3.60, $3.80, whatever it was. I think Ethereum hit 1,500. Litecoin was rallying around $350. Everything was crazy at the end of 2017. So that's what they're talking about. But why is the rally we're seeing now different than the rally we saw then? What's the difference? So what do they say here? What is this statement here? You guys can't see it. Hang on. I don't know if you can see it now. If you're on your phone, you definitely can't see this, but this is the most sophisticated investors, the smartest people in the room buying Bitcoin quietly, like Mass Mutual, like MicroStrategy, and many others that are buying into Bitcoin and other digital assets. They're doing it, and then it gets covered. But Ray Dalio still thinks it's too volatile at this point. Jamie Dimon, who we talked about before, Bitcoin, it's just not his cup of tea. Before, I used to call people idiots. But the CEO of MicroStrategy, CEO of Mass Mutual, all these different banks, all these different investors, are they all idiots, like Jamie Dimon said, or is it just him and that Ray Dalio? But look at this. So why is it different? The type of investors in this bull run are different. This is, to me, the moving point. When they talk about a more sophisticated investor, they're talking about right here, institutional investors. Paul Tudor Jones, Druckenmiller, a billionaire hedge fund manager. Jones previously said Bitcoin is still in the first inning and has a long way to go. Obviously, it hit another high, but this is the movement right now. That's why a lot of people have fled to Bitcoin, because it's unclear how the dollar gets off this track of debt and printing and what it's actually going to be worth in the future. There's that concern. But this is the biggest point, and this is the whole idea of of what I've been talking about for months and months and months and months, that the space is going to take off when the institutional investors decide the time is right. The retail investors got it to a certain point. The institutional investors are going to take it to a new hemisphere. Things are going to change drastically due to investment from institutional investors. So institutional investors, what does that mean? But look at this. Tyler Winklevoss said the rally isn't retail driven this time. It's not retail driven. I don't know if that comes up. You probably can't see that. Every time I try to do this in yellow highlighting, it comes out in black on the other end. But This is the most sophisticated investors, the smartest people in the room. It's not a FOMO thing. So it's very different than 17. This cast of characters, these companies, these investors were not in Bitcoin back then, 2017. It's huge, right? So then he points out, just like we were talking about. Now, think about Winklevoss. This article was written, post on CNBC yesterday. We've been talking about this for months and months and months and months. The same theme, the same idea that when institutional investors hit, things are going to take off. He brings up in this article, and he gets quoted, publicly traded companies like Square and MicroStrategy putting their treasury cash into Bitcoin because they're worried about the oncoming inflation and the scourge of inflation with all the money printing and the stimulus from the pandemic lockdown. You can't, there's no such thing as free money. You can't keep printing money and distributing money for free without ramification. JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon said bank believes in crypto. His bank, the bank, if it's properly regulated and properly backed. Now Jamie Dimon comes out and says that in this article. I don't know. A year and a half ago, he's saying anyone who bought Bitcoin is crazy. Then he said Bitcoin's not his cup of tea. And then in the same article, he's saying, well, if it's properly regulated and properly backed. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the guy thinks. Doesn't really like it. But so the key is, forget about with the dollar and all of that stuff. From an investment perspective, the institutional investor is going to move the needle to another level. The retail investors will be along for the ride also. What is the other trend? Something that we talk about also, does the digital asset space at some point become too costly for the average investor? Now, different than stock, you can buy one. Some scenarios you can buy fractional shares. They are tokenizing stock, so you can buy a fractional share of a stock that's tokenized and hold the token, like on Sologenics, on the Sologenics platform. How amazing is that? Is it open to people in the US? Nope, can't do it in the US. Canada, you guys up in Canada can take advantage of it. Can't do it in the US. There's a lot of or lack of regulatory clarity in the US. So a lot of these great things can't happen. It goes back to the beginning of our conversation and many, many, many of our other conversations. But the overall trend is that as an investor, you can buy fractional amounts of any digital asset. So if Bitcoin right now is sitting at, let's say, 20,000, and you can own a fractional amount of Bitcoin, it goes to $1 million. You own and hold a certain number of Satoshis, a number of that Bitcoin. One full whole Bitcoin, let's say, is worth 20,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, $1 million, whatever it can go to, who knows? These guys seem to know that Bitcoin is going somewhere. Is it going to stop at 20? Why would MicroStrategy raise $400 million? Is he just gambling with that money and thinking, hey, I just made a shit ton over here. Let me raise 400 million of someone else's money and take a gamble risk that Bitcoin is going to go from 18,000 to 50,000 and double his money again. Is he willing to take that risk? I don't think so. I don't think Mass Mutual is putting $100 million into Bitcoin when it's at 18,000 with the intent that it's not going to double in value. I just don't believe it. I think the retail investor, the institutional investors get into the digital asset space when they feel it's primed and ready to go. Now, would it have been great for them to get in when it was 10? Of course. But they thought it was too volatile. There's still people in the financial space that think it's still too volatile. However, there's people like the CEO of MicroStrategy and that little tiny young 175-year-old Mass Mutual that he took his, what I say was 25 or $250 billion, and they took a little $100 million. And is he going to just throw away $100 million? No, he wants to test the environment, see how it works. But I also don't believe that he believes that it's going backwards. He believes that it's going to double in value and then some. So that's all speculation. That's all forecasting. But as the Winklevoss twins are talking about, the accredited investors getting into this space now, even if it's at 18, 19, 20,000, they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars in. So a $20,000 investment, if it's 10,000, 20,000, what's the difference? Can they make that much more? Yes, but they're still going to make a ton. The average retail investor, when Bitcoin was $100, we looked at a video on Wednesday from 7 years ago. Bitcoin was $109 a Bitcoin. Could you imagine if we were all sitting there watching that video from 7 years ago? And the guy, Da Vinci, he said, do yourself a favor and buy at least $1 worth of Bitcoin. That $1 now, what would it be worth? It would be worth like $180 or something, whatever it would be worth. But imagine you took that amount of money at $100 and you said, some of these big guys 7 years ago, I'm going to put $100 million into Bitcoin. Could you imagine? I mean, 7 years ago, nobody was paying attention to it. You'd control the world at that point. I mean, it'd be, and people would say, oh, you're putting $100 million into Bitcoin at $100. I mean, could you imagine that thought process then? It would be crazy. But now the market, the movement, retail investors follow the trend of the market. Financial institutions and accredited investors buy when it's primed and ready to take off. That's what I've learned over time. When you look at how they invest smart. Many of them invest long term. You saw what's his name from Shark Tank, O'Leary. He said he was putting 5% of his investable into an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF. He's putting that in. He wasn't going to buy direct, but he's still investing. But one of the things he said was, don't trade. Trade is like a casino. Invest long-term like Warren Buffett. That's how you invest. And there's different. Some people like trading. Some people like investing. Even in longer-term investing, there's times to buy in and sell out. Then there's people that put it in and hold it for long periods of time. Microsoft. You can go back and the lessons I've learned. I looked Microsoft at $26, $27. I saw one of my uncles buy Microsoft from back in the 80s when it was peanuts. And you can imagine the rest of the story. But even Microsoft at 20 something dollars back in 2000, when it had a full pullback, I think it maxed out maybe 30, 40, $50. I forget what it was, $26. Now it's hovering over $200. That's just an example. Facebook blew up its IPO. I forget what the IPO blew it up to, 80 something dollars. Like Twitter blew up to like 80, pulled all the way back to like 15. So look at those kind of buy-in opportunities in the regular stock space. Think about the cryptocurrency digital asset space and think about it long term. We're so new into this. You think about Bitcoin has only been around 10 years. 10. That's it. I'm thinking about Microsoft. I was just telling you this small story 20 years ago. Bitcoin didn't even exist in 2000 when there was the antitrust case against Microsoft. And you saw the whole market, the whole high-tech, internet craze bubble burst. Some companies went away. Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Google, a whole host of other companies, survived the storm. And look where they are today. Now with Bitcoin, again, it's 10 years old. XRP, 2012, 8 years old. Ripple, what they're doing. Ethereum, a lot newer. Litecoin, I don't know. You can have your opinions on Litecoin after Charlie Lee sold out of his holdings at $350 per Litecoin. I don't know how much money the guy made, but there's still opportunity with that. It's amazing. Litecoin's hovering around an $80 mark, maybe 70. Yeah, I think it was 71, but it touched $80 a couple weeks ago. Litecoin, they always promote it as the silver to Bitcoin's gold. I don't know what's going on with their project, but Litecoin still exists. Dogecoin, Dogecoin's at 0.003, and it fluctuates. So Dogecoin is still around. I mean, it's amazing. Some of these eventually through regulatory movements or whatnot, maybe some of these will drop off. I don't know. But it's amazing to me the direction this is going in right now. So I just went on, I don't know, I've been talking like a 30-minute rant. And I'm looking at some of these comments post up. I killed the comment section. I killed the comment section. Too long of a rant without responding back. But I like this. I like Amir. Great information like always. I try to bring it all in, try to kind of connect it all, have an interesting conversation about everything. I think it's important. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, more. Anyone know why XRPL Monitor's Twitter account was suspended? Who knows? I don't know what's going on over at Twitter. I don't know the answer to that, but Twitter's out of control, as is YouTube and Facebook and all the others. They're blocking, censoring. It's not right. It's definitely not right. Tony Morissette. Jeff, are we to expect all the exchanges that support the airdrop to eventually trade the Spark token? I don't know that for a fact. I can make an assumption that yes, that would be the case. If they're going to allow you if they're going to hold it, I would make an assumption that you could then buy and sell it. That's just an assumption. I don't know that for a fact as we see them getting into it, but I think that will be the case. That they're going to hold it eventually. I think they'll all sell. But it's interesting too, because I bought a few digital assets recently that I just had to go through such an ordeal to try to get it. I wanted to buy Cell token. I should have just bought it through Celsius, through their platform. I'm like, I'm going to do it my way. MetaMask to this one, to that one, and DeFi. And it was so crazy trying to buy Cell token. Then I wanted to buy XDC, and XDC, you could get it over on BitTrue, but then I had to buy money USDC on Coinbase, move it to BitTrue, convert it to USDT, and then buy the XDC. And it's just like the movements and the transactions, and it gets super complex. But I wanted to buy XDC because of what I heard about XDC. But most retail investors are not going to go through that ordeal to get their digital asset. I talked to a number of new people in the space over the past week, and I keep recommending Coinbase or Uphold because they're easy. And that's what retail investors want. They want an easy movement in order to buy a digital asset. Somebody I know recently, they bought a ledger. They don't know anything yet about the digital asset. The first thing they did, went out and bought the ledger. And I said, that's awesome. It's great to have the ledger, but as a first-time buyer in the digital asset space, even the ledger and the process that goes around the ledger can be a little scary. So whether you buy, on Coinbase and then you want to self-custody and with the ledger, that's crazy too. So all of the different things that have to take place to make those things happen. But yeah, so anyhow, Brady, what is up, man? It's been a long time since I've seen you on. Really good to see you. Bitcoin Candy, man, or Bitcoin Candy, another new name I haven't seen before. For anybody that's on, we're 9:30. I can't believe I've been streaming an hour and a half. No tennis today. Therefore, I wasn't under stress. And now 30 minutes past my normal cutoff, but we've got new people in the stream. If you guys are brand new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notifier. Make sure that you get notified every time we drop a new video. What I forgot to do, and I realize why maybe we have some people that, didn't get the notification. I forgot to drop the link in our Twitter and in our Telegram channels. Not everybody, gets notified, and I forgot to drop the link. My fault. And I forgot to ask everyone to share it in the beginning, but that's all right. Brady, I assume you want some of the warmth. We don't have enough to share. Even today, I think it's actually it's warm today. But we're in like the other morning it was like 44 degrees. This past week I had to see what the temperature was at 5:30 a.m. before I took the dog out just to see if it was cold or not. It's funny. So I'm just scrolling here. Let me go through, see if there's anything else that we can. Adelbury, what is going on? Good to see you here as well. Definitely rewind a little bit when we wrap up, but it's so awesome seeing people bounce in. We got 44 people in the stream right now. It's 9:30. DNI, if you're still on, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. What is going on with that? What is up with that? Man, oh man. So anyhow, tomorrow night, we do 3 live streams per week right now. We do have another channel. I was super motivated. I was going to wrap this in an hour. I'm super motivated. I'm going to make a short video that's going on the other channel. We have the other channel, which is a bunch of short videos, specific on a very narrow topic. I'm going to make a short video on something that I saw about Celsius that I think is really important. And I'm going to make a short video on that, put it up on the other channel. But tomorrow night, Sunday night, 8 p.m., we do the roundtable. We do a roundtable conversation every Sunday night. We bring guests on. We bring CEOs on. Sometimes it's just Chip and I BSing about certain things like this that are interesting in the space. Wednesday nights, we're doing a live stream. We stick to that 8 o'clock is good. 8 a.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. Sunday, 8 p.m. Wednesday. That's Eastern Standard Time. It's so awesome seeing all these great people that take their time, committed, dedicated to be on here with us. I love seeing all these new names that participate in the chat. Normal, regular, involvement. There's so many great people in the chat. We've got Jake Zamora. Like I said, Adelbury is on here, brand new, or at least in the chat. Bitcoin Candy, and there's more and more and more. Keep adding to the space. But I like what Morton said here. Get Mashinsky back on. Mashinsky's been killing it on his own. I don't know if you guys have tuned in. He does his own live streams now. He makes his own videos. And he's actually been doing a great job doing his own videos and own live streaming. But I do want to get him back in here. We will make sure that we have a very, very good topic. For those of you that haven't used Celsius, I finally dove into Celsius about 2 months ago, started moving some digital asset over there. And this is like months and months after we had Alex on. Took me a little while to wrap that up and do that. Michelle XRP, what's going on? Good to see you here. But yeah, Mashinsky is great. I like his background. I like where he came from. And overall, the platform is really, really solid. It's amazing. My experience on Celsius has been really great. At first you put your digital asset over there, they're paying a decent percentage on your digital asset. So XRP like 3.5% on Bitcoin. For your first 5 Bitcoin, they're paying up to 6.2%, 6.2% on your Bitcoin. USDC, if you just want to put a stable coin, 10%. If you have Matic, 16%. Now and that's obviously based on annual return, but they pay out weekly. So every Friday they do a snapshot. Now I have no connection to Celsius other than I'm just expressing my experience here as a wrap up, but every Friday they do a snapshot of your holdings and they give you a payout on Mondays. So once a week, you do a snapshot. Once a week, you get a payout. And to me, that's awesome. You know, that's based on your holdings. Now, in the US, when they give you a payout, so if you're getting 6% on your Bitcoin, they're paying you in like currency. You're getting 6% of your total investment in Bitcoin. Now, that's annual. So whatever that breaks down to on a weekly basis payout. But if you look at, let's see, I'll tell you exactly, 6%, you can probably calculate that easily. 6% is 0.5% per month in interest. Your 0.5% in a month, weekly, you can figure that out on your own probably. Comes out to, wait a minute. Yeah, 0.12 and a half. So 0.125. So let's say 0.2% every week is being paid out. So it's decent. I mean, it's not bad. It's really interesting. So I like that. Jake, some more. I used to hate Mondays. Now I can't wait for payday with Celsius. Adelbree, Alex is such a great inventor. The guy is really amazing. I mean, you look at, really appreciate this. Here's another new name, Naptown XRP. Awesome. Great to see you on. Michelle XRP, I'd mentioned you before, but appreciate it. If you guys are not subscribed to On the Chain, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notifier. Make sure you get notified every time we drop a new video. Adelbree, Adelbree, there you go. Let's see. I'm going to throw this out there. I think Flare is the QFS. It is the first Turing complete system, and that is huge. We'll see. It's interesting. Really, it's really interesting. I don't know where it's going to go, but I think there's a lot going on with it. I think there's a lot more than what we're seeing. Let's put it that way. I believe that as well. Justin Murphy, my kids now want their allowance in XRP. Boom. How do you like that? I think that's awesome. I think that's freaking awesome. Pay your kids their allowance in XRP. I have investments set aside for my son in Ethereum and XRP. I showed it to him. I'm like, here's this investment. Got stocks. Now you've got XRP. And he looks at it. He says, oh, that's interesting. But I like this idea. Pay him in XRP. That, if you want to reward them any more than that, pay them out in an investment that they're going to hold over a long period of time. Maybe it's a percentage. Maybe they need some spending money, do stuff. But hey, I'll do this. Your reward is going to be humongous over a period of time. I love that. I think that's awesome. I think there's just a few other things I wanted to reach here before get Gummo the hacker on and pick his brain. He was one of the early BTC miners. He was interviewed on the Soft White Underbelly here on YouTube. I don't even know who that is. Gummo the hacker. I'm gonna have to look him up, Todd. I don't know who that is at all, but that's interesting. I've always wanted Peter Saddington on. I was communicating with him a little bit. We're texting back and forth. He was one of the first YouTubers. I know he's invested in a lot of projects. He was Peter Saddington, if you don't know who he is, he was the first one to buy a Lamborghini with Bitcoin. And that was interesting. He made a video about it, but that was like 2 years ago. Then he definitely got involved in other stuff. Jake, love this community, the crypto family. At the beaches. That's awesome. Yeah. So this is great. Here you go. Every big exchange jumping on Flare is insane. I've never seen anything like it. That's a great point. And someone else brought up, the direction, what he thinks might be happening, just throwing it out there. That was Adelbree, what's happening with Flare, and what Morton's bringing up. Exactly. Coinbase, Kraken, all of them, in order to get into a digital asset like that, they always go through this lengthy process. But the fact that they're all adopting it right now, something's going on behind the scenes, but they also see the likelihood of the project. Plus, from a marketing perspective, the first XRP-based airdrop or digital token that's XRP based as an airdrop, huge. I mean, it's never happened before. So maybe it's a trend. Maybe we'll see more of this happening. I don't know. We'll see. But anyhow, an hour 40. This is long. This is too long. 45 people in the stream. If you guys have not done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notifier. I'll make sure moving forward, I get the notification out in our Twitter. That's going to be key. Revolut Bank is on board too. Man, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. If it wasn't, that's NAB. Man, here's another name I haven't seen before, NAB. Man, NAB, maybe you're brand new, maybe not. If you are, hit the sub button, but it's great to see you here. We gather here every Saturday morning, typically at 8 a.m. So if you guys are coming in this 9 a.m. spot, normally I'm cut off 9 a.m. We're out the door. Got to get out to the tennis courts, by 9:30. But right now we're here. So anyhow, 46 people on the stream, and I got nothing else to talk about. I mean, there's tons to talk about. I want to save a little bit for tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody should be there. We stream Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Times. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as soon as we wrap here, I'm going to make a quick video on Celsius. I'm going to throw it up on the other channel. You guys can see that link down below. Make sure you're subbed to the other channel as well. And that's it, man. Nab, I appreciate it. Already a sub, man. You're fantastic. Awesome. So that's it, guys. Check you out tomorrow night. Check you out next Saturday. I think that's it. I got nothing else. I'll see you guys later. See ya. Have a great week. Boom.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.